Hi, my name is Nadia and I'm going to do my presentation on language indicators of social class from the book The English by Kate Fox. I'm going to discuss the importance of these indicators, the language indicators, and what they mean when we're identifying social class. I have a few quotes from the book by Kate Fox. The first one is from Ben Jonson. Language most shows a man, speak that I may see thee. The next one is from George Bernard Shaw. It is impossible for an Englishman to open his mouth without making some other Englishman hate him or despise him. This comes to show the importance of language and how people are perceived when they speak. Uh, Most importantly, in England, this is what we're going to talk about, the importance of language indicators of social class in England, okay? So the two main factors to identify the social class of a speaker are, in first place, their pronunciation, and in second, their choice of terminology. We're going to discuss pronunciation first. Um, Here are two examples of two expressions that would be commonly used on a daily basis. What time is it? The answer, looking at this clock over here, 10:30. And the second one, what is this? It's a handkerchief. Depending on your social class, your answer would sound differently. So, someone from the working class would most definitely drop their ages, which means that instead of half, they would say off. Instead of handkerchief, they would say handkerchief. In the same way, the upper class would most likely not pronounce their consonants clearly, which means that it might sound like something like, I'm not going trying to pronounce it because I'm really bad with accents, but meaning that their consonants would be intelligible, but not their vowels. The upper class people seem to think that this is the standard way of speaking English, the correct way. However, sometimes it may be a little bit confused since without vowels, it's pretty hard to understand what they're saying. Uh, Here we have the example of some consonants that are pronounced differently if you're from the upper class, I'm sorry, the working class. So in the first case, we have the middle T that gets substituted by a glottal stop. So instead of kettle, we have kettle. Next, we have the drop of the H. Like I said, instead of his, we'd have is. Instead of house, we'd have house. Next, we have the voiceless dental fricative, the th sound, as in teeth. It sounds like teeth. It'd be substituted by an F sound. Or in the case of thing, it sounds more like think. Then we'd have the voiced dental fricative, the sound as in that. That would get substituted by a V sound, as in that, or in the case of the word father, it would sound something like father. Then we'd have something that's the difference in the G sound, as in something. It would sound something more like a K, so something, when we substitute the TH for an F and the G for a K, so something. The same thing goes for nothing, sounds like nothing. And then there's a slightly change on the vowels, as in Dave, would sound something like more like dive, and Tracy something more like Tracy. So now regarding terminology rules, like I said, there are two factors that determine someone's social class: pronunciation and terminology. Pronunciation is a lot harder to hide. If you are working class trying to sound more like upper class, it is a lot harder to pretend to change your accent than just to choose different words, and this is what terminology regards. So here we have you and non-you revisited. You and non-you means you stands for the upper class, non-you stands for all the other classes. Um, Here we have the 7 deadly sins for someone who wants to sound like upper class. Uh, if they choose to coin one of these words, they will be most definitely labeled as non-you. So we're going to start with the word pardon. When you don't hear what someone said, if you are non-you, which means non-upper class, you will most likely ask them pardon instead of just saying what or can you repeat or something like that. This is a choice of word that is made by non-you people in order to sound more fancier, more poshier, let's just say. Um, the same goes for all the other choices. We have toilet instead of loo. Loo would be the you terminology. Serviette comes from the French, so uh, it's supposed to sound fancier. Um, dinner, not dinner regarding the night meal, but the middle of the day meal. Then we have settee, uh, which is what non-you people call their sofa, lounge instead of drawing room or sitting room, and suite regarding the last course of a meal, while the upper class would call it the pudding, non-you would most likely call it sweet. So here we have the smart way of saying this thing. So what instead of pardon, loo instead of toilet, napkin instead of serviette, lunch instead of dinner, sofa instead of settee, sitting room instead of lounge, and pudding instead of sweet. Why did I call it the smart way? Smart is how upper class people refer to the way they speak, while lower classes would call them posh. Upper classes would prefer the word smart. So there we have, instead of posh, we have smart. And on the other side, we have, instead of common, naff. Naff is a word that is used when you mean tacky or uncool. And so it is used mostly to hide the embarrassment of using the word common or using the word working class. So here we have some of the terminology that is used by smart people and common people. So upper class people have mummies and daddies, while common people have moms and dads. Uh, then we have on the upper side, scent, bag, racing, and helpings regarding food. On the common side, a scent is a perfume, a bag is a handbag, a racing is a horse racing, and helpings are called portions. These are just a few of the words that help you realize what a person's social class is. These are just a couple, there are a lot more. Language is a very important factor of the English language when you want to know to which social class someone belongs to. Okay, so since they are very conscious of their class system, there's also something called a class anxiety. People who suffer from class anxiety are most likely the people from the upper middle class, people who want to climb up the ladder of social class, and these are the people that are most sensitive to mistakes. Since they want so badly to be regarded as upper class, they will make the bigger effort. So, to talk about working class, they will use some euphemistic expressions like low income groups, less privileged, ordinary people, less educated, the man in the street, tabloid readers, blue collar, this is my favorite, state school, council state, popular, Shannon and Tracy, these are a little less polite, the Kevins, the Essex men, and Mondio men. In the same way, someone from the middle class would be sensitive to talk about class, so they would substitute that word to the word background instead. So, meaning that they don't really like to use the C word, they would talk about backgrounds instead, so they don't offend anyone. But this is also symptomatic of their own class consciousness and their class anxiety. So, uh, in conclusion, I have a quote from Kate Fox from her book, "Words are our preferred medium, so it's perhaps significant that they should be our primary means of signaling and recognizing social status. The English are not a very physical people. They prefer literature to other means of art. So it is just significant that they prefer to express themselves through words. These are not the only social indicators, but language is very important because when you first speak to someone, it's the first thing you notice. So you instantly see what their social class is. So language, in conclusion, is a very important is a very important indicator of social class, and that's it.